Hello. Happy New Year to everybody. Just a word of warning, this is going to be rough. This is going to be the first official live stream that I'm doing for 2020, and it's going to be the first of 365 live streams that I'm hoping to do once a day. So hopefully around 9 o'clock every night I'll be on here covering everything that's reptile related. I'm streaming this to all my pages, so you'll be able to find the same. I'll probably customize the streams to all the different pages. So you'll find a stream on carpetpythons.com.au. You'll find a stream on centralbeardeddragons.com.au, and you'll find a stream on reptile news. So I'll try and accommodate all the different types of topics that I discuss on those pages. I'm hoping to be a little bit more active on the Carpet Pythons page because I think there's 9,000 followers on there. And I think it's just fair to give people a bit of Carpet Python content. The same for the Central Bearded Dragons page. I think there's a lot of pages around, but nothing that really specifically caters to the Central Bearded Dragons. And we can talk about those types of animals. The Reptile News page is really just... let me just see if I've got any messages here. So you can send me can comment in the... And I'm just sort of testing to see if I see all the comments coming through. So sorry if I'm a little bit over the shop. I'm hoping I could that this is going to get better and better with time. So from what I can see, that the more you do, from what I know, the more you do something, the the better you get at it. So yeah, so far, let me just test if I can make a comment here. It should come through. So there's a live stream going on. Sorry, I'm looking around everywhere, but there is a live stream going on the Carpet Pythons page. There's also one going on the Central Bearded Dragons page. So you'll see it'll be slightly different for every page. So might change the logos and the emblems of the different pages. Pardon my throat clearing. It's been a busy day, and I'm trying to make it as exciting as I can for everybody, because I know people like to have an exciting host. Oh, here we go. You're back, Colin. Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm back. It's been a while, 5 years, I think, that I've laid low under the radar. But I've still been working at things, just trying to find a new niche for me where I fit into this industry in Australia. I think I've got far too much to talk about than to just hide behind in the shadows or lurk in the shadows. So the Reptile News page seems to be doing all right. We're getting there. I think it's up to almost 19,000 followers, and I just want to grow it, man. I just think there's so much stuff that we can talk about when it comes to reptiles, and I want to use this Reptile News to tell people about new things that's happening in the industry, and new products, and if people have had successes, in Australia. Australia is a small market. So for all of those of you that are not too familiar with what this page is, I'm based in Australia, and our laws are very different to the rest of the world when it comes to keeping reptiles. And it's also a much smaller industry in Australia than it is in the rest of the world. So hopefully you can learn a little bit more about the Aussies and the way they do stuff. So let me just check. Yeah, the stream looks okay. 30 frames a second. Yeah. What are some new products you're working with? Oh well, it's I'm looking at a few things that's coming into the new year. Very similar to. Let me keep it secret because I don't really want to let the cat out of the bag. Now you've got some spiteful individuals in the industry, so you're looking at building realistic cages for your big snakes. Yeah, well, it seems to be the trend at the moment. Everybody's into their bioactive substrates and their naturalistic terrariums, although the Europeans have been doing that for the last 50 years. Naturalistic. Suddenly everybody's now an expert in the US about naturalistic. It's not criticizing. Don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm more than likely be offending people on this show, so I'm going to try and limit that. Fake rock, universal rock is the best, I think. And then I saw a video on YouTube the other day. Jay Brewer had a show of how he does his, how he does his backgrounds in prehistoric pets. I think he uses concrete, and then they sculpt the concrete and then they cover it. It's a fascinating way of doing it. I know Brian Barczyk's been working on also with Universal Rock. His whole Reptarium's out of Universal Rock, so it helps to stay in touch with that. I'm pretty sure you can do something similar here, but that's the way to go. Large snakes, I think. Need space to stretch out, and the only problem is heating and stuff. Although I don't think you guys have too much to worry about over in New South Wales. Down in Victoria, that'd be a logistical nightmare, right? Warming up animals that size. We even struggle with monitors, So yeah, you could use that. Yeah, those heat panels would be okay. I personally would probably do piping, man. I'd like a warm water service, like copper piping through the floors, and then have that circulate outside and have that on a thermostat. And you'll have, I don't know, that's just something, I think the zoos used to use that. Have copper piping with water running through it, and then the water warms the concrete, and that keeps the snakes warm. And it's a lot more you can stick that right into your gas. A gas bill would probably be able to handle that type of electricity. But the ZoomEd stuff works. I love the ZoomEd stuff. I'll be reviewing some ZoomEd and Exoterra stuff here, and stuff that's coming in through Pet Pacific. I'm hoping that I can work something out there to do a few reviews for those guys. But there's a lot of stuff coming at the moment. Other than that, this website, I think this page, I've been seeing it at a lot of people. I saw it happened last year, it was last year now, when when Facebook banned sales on the platform. I thought that maybe a page. I've built a few websites in my life, and I thought that maybe that's something that I can help people with if they're interested. If you're a reptile breeder, I think especially in Australia, I'm so sick of seeing everybody trying to do it backyard businesses, the UV, I think ZoomEd, sorry, I'm jumping, but I'm seeing comments here. I think ZoomEd's probably the best backed UVB T5 tube in Australia. I think they, the backing and support, I've never had an issue. At one stage, I think I was running 80 plus of those tubes, and if any of them broke within their warranty period, they were exchanged. And I just remember having great success with the dragons and all the lizards underneath those T5s. Yeah, second to none. I seriously don't think they can be beat by anybody. So to get back to what I was saying, I think the channel needs to be based around helping guys with that want to actually have a brand on online. I can help with logo design, graphic designs, and it's not so hard. People think you have to pay somebody thousands of dollars to get that type of stuff done, and you don't have to. I actually have to. I want to redo my site. So what I want to do is I want to actually allow people to join in and discuss how to start a website from scratch. If you're interested in logo, if you need a logo for yourself, this is stuff that I've been doing for the last 10 years. It's not so hard. There's apps on iPads and iPhones and Android. I'm sure all these things I use. I'm an Apple user, so I'm familiar with the stuff on iOS. But there'll be stuff for Android that the same apps would be on Android, and those apps, you can use to make logos. All the websites, you can literally build websites from an iPad at the moment. I actually got an iPad to work through that I can actually connect to my streaming equipment, and I can show people how to do that, and go through the whole process of how to pay for your domain and who to use, and how to get your hosting, set up so you can actually have a place where you can park your website database so people can actually see it. And I just don't think there's anybody that helps people with that. It's all fair and well, you can go online and see everybody's Facebook page, but it's always a better way to have, it's always the far better choice to have your website online, that you can control the content and that you can't be penalized for trying to sell an animal. And I think it's time that we get out of the backyard breeder mentality. You know, like, I mean, I don't want to sound like a judge, but man, it's just, there's nothing business-like about breeding a snakes from your garage. You know, we all came from that. But I think it's a better way of doing stuff. So I can help. We'll work through that. I'm going to try and do this once a day. I'm going to try my best. I literally put myself in a position where I have to do it. It's something that I have to do at least once a day. Go live, even if it's just to shit talk a little bit about it. And I'm going to try and do it a little bit later so that it's kid friendly. I don't want to feel like I'm holding back for kids. You know, like I want to be able to just talk and not worry about hurting people's feelings. So let me just have a look and make sure that everything's going all right here. So I can see that works around. Yeah. So there's still a few people. I think with live streams, the longer you stay on, the more people see. And then with the carpet, so what I want to do is I want to build these websites. I want to have started up this the Reptile News website. We can start with that, and then we can work through the carpetpythons.com.au website. I can show you how to take photos of using I've learned how to use flash photography. Man, it's alright. You need to know how to use a flash to do flash photography. And then there's a few Wayne Beatty, yeah. Hi mate. Thanks for commenting. Yeah, comment. Please don't be shy. But please behave. If you can't behave, I will lay down the banhammer and you won't be able to come back. So let's just keep it nice, yeah. So on the Carpet Pythons page, we'll talk about carpet pythons. And still keep an eye on what people are doing. And there's a couple of guys that I'm watching all the time to see what's happening with the carpets. And they're doing some fascinating, good stuff in Australia. I think Australia looks like they're heading like they're ahead at the moment with the mutation game. I never thought I'd see that. But there's some cool stuff around. You know, lay the foundations years back, and now the guys that got some of the stock, and us old timers from way back that laid the foundations. It's good to see the younger guys laying the foundations now and breeding stuff that working or expanding on what we did with the carpets. So and yeah, there's just a lot to talk about. So I don't necessarily want to make this too long tonight. I'll work my way into the comfort zone of being on live stream. And the set's probably going to change. I mean, I've got a lot of photography stuff and sound equipment and things around. I'm hoping to make it a little bit more reptile based, the background, you know. And I definitely want to try and get my hands on some awesome stuff to show you guys. Especially, there's so much crap, it's unfiltered, you know. Or it's so filtered today, you know. There's somebody asked, what thermostats are you running? I still have a few iStats. I like the iStats. I always liked the iStats. It's just a pity the company fell apart because I don't think it was a good business model. But I like the iStats. I bought a couple of microclimates, the OLED microclimates, and I had an issue with power fluctuations. They're a little bit sensitive to currents, so that sometimes kicks the clock out. So the clock falls behind. But we figured it out. You just need one of those little filters on the lines to keep the. But then you can import most of the thermostats out of the UK these days, you know. So I like the Exoterra day-night one. I just wish they would change the the probe on that, so it's not just day night, because it's got a little diode inside that picks up if it's day night in the thermostat probe. So if you have the probe, they fit perfectly into a vision rack. So if you have the probe in a vision rack under a tub, the day night eye doesn't see if it's day and night, so you can only run it on one temperature. So if Exoterra has got a great unit, but they need to change that tip of the probe so it's not light sensitive. You need to be able to set the day night inside the unit itself. But they're good. Not too bad. So it's iStats, the herb stats. The herb stats are great, but Dion doesn't build them for Australian current anymore. I highly recommend. If you're in the US, the only company I'd buy thermostats from is Spider Robotics, and that's the Herbstat 1, Herbstat 2. I've got a whole bunch of models. Herbstat 4, and I was lucky enough to get some of them modified a few years ago by the owner of Spider Robotics into a 240 volts. And those were the best thermostats I've ever used in my life. Like seriously, they were top-notch thermostats. I can understand in the service of the company as well. I had issues with a couple of the cheaper Herbstat NDs after a year, but found out it was a trike that kept burning out. And, I literally just boxed it up and sent it off, and Dion used to fix it and send it straight back at his own cost. So, yeah, highly recommend the Herbstat stuff. Let me just check. Can't believe there's a few people watching, but everybody's too shy to say something. I'm sure my haters will be watching. I love you guys. You bloody idiots, superstars, reptile superstars, reptile royalty, huh? Love you guys, huh? In any case, so let me just check you on reptile news. Baby, it's impossible these days. Impossible to not offend people and piss people off, Dogs, g'day. Yeah, I've got it's the best little system I've paid. So if you're wondering, the pro tip here, I've literally had this studio now for a year, and I've been fine tuning it for the last 6 months. And my wife's been literally on my back to start live streaming because we've got all this money tied up in live streaming photography and video equipment, and I'm just not using it. So my issue was that you can, with I use OBS, so it's open broadcasting software, and it literally runs through your computer, and it basically encodes your stream and sends it out. But you can only do it to one platform. So it can send it to Facebook, or it can send it to YouTube, or it can send it to Twitch, or it can send it to... It doesn't go Instagram. I don't think Instagram. I don't think it does. So to do a live stream properly, you have to use OBS. You have to connect all your cameras to a encoder or to a HDMI. What do you call it? So Elgato makes these 4K capture cards, and Blackmagic Design does them. And so you plug your cameras into HDMI. You connect HDMI cables to your cameras. Your camera goes into your computer, and your computer, then the capture card basically converts the HDMI signal into something that your computer can understand. And that goes into OBS, and then that goes, you stream, literally OBS connects, you get a streaming key from Facebook. If you want to do it, you can do it from your phone, but then you get a phone quality stream. So to stream to Facebook properly in a high definition signal, you have to use all that stuff. So and then that goes straight into Facebook, but you can only go to one platform. So I've been researching. So how do you get? Because I don't want to do 4 different shows. I want to do one show, and it must go to all these pages. And if I feel like going to just one, I can do that as well. So I decided to go with, I think it's Restream, it's called. And Restream, what it does is it takes your signal and it splits it. It sends it to wherever you want it to send it. Within depending on what plan you've got. So during the best time to get these things done is to buy it when it's Black Friday. Black Friday and Cyber Monday is the best time to buy anything software related or any services online, especially when it comes to streaming and photography and websites and all that type of stuff. So you just have to time your purchases right. So usually around November, there's a lot of money going out to pay for subscriptions, and you can see I had a late night out. Look how puffy my eyes are. But in any case, I digress. So I got all this stuff, and that's how you do a proper stream. So that's why the stream looks pretty good. Hopefully, at some stage, Facebook allows 1080p streams. I think this is a 1440 stream. I know, 1280 by 720, and yeah, it's running at 30 frames per second. So I can control all that stuff. And then, of course, now with the fantastic era that we live in, I connected all the lighting behind me to Wi-Fi enabled plugs. So I can sit here and I can literally do that. I can switch them on, switch them off. That actually doesn't look too bad. But let's put it back on. And all my power and charging and all my batteries are connected to those same lights. So I think that is a plug that Mirabella sells, and that plug is called the Mirabella Geo or something. Yeah, Genio Mirabella. So it's a Wi-Fi plug tray that you can connect each of the plugs. You can basically control remotely. So it's very cool. Okay, so but I can see the views are tapering down. So what I'll do is I won't stay on here for too long. I think I've been 20. Go push it for another 10 minutes and see what's going on. I think people are sleeping. Let's just see. The US. I think everybody in America is sleeping at the moment. World clock. I love this. So yeah, look, it's 5:30 in the morning. So all those guys are just waking. Australia is going to sleep, and the rest of the world is should be waking up in about a half an hour. London's 10:30. I've got all these world clocks on my phone. But it's a hello. My name's Main Dirt. You can see there, Main Dirt or Manice, my nickname, and we'll be seeing each other a lot more. So if you're interested in building your online brand and building your online presence on even on social media as well, I've got a pretty good insight into how social media works and how to promote yourself and how to get your page kicking ass. Oh, it says there's a timer there. Okay, that tells me how long the show's been going for, 24 minutes. So about a half an hour. I'm going to try and keep these shows to about a half an hour. And I'll definitely try and be a little bit more organized next time. What I'll do is I'll have... you might hear... I don't know if I want to talk to people about it. I don't know if I'm going to interview people. So I'll have to find people that are willing to. It's a hard thing to interview people. I've got I've got equipment to route phone calls into the podcast. I can do podcasts. I can record this. I should really be recording this, but this is the first one, so this is just going to go better over time. I thought you dropped out there for a second. So the numbers are dropping. Well, it's first live stream, so there'll be more, and I'm sure people will be talking and spreading the word. I especially want to get into carpet pythons and talk about what's going on in the hobby at the moment with the carpets, because I think there's so much bullshit. I forgot. Sorry about the language. So many chips on their shoulders. It reminds me of myself a few years back, then you have to have a rude awakening to wake up and smell the roses and understand. But the reptiles, people don't give a shit. The real world doesn't give a shit about reptiles, unfortunately. Yeah. What a great night. Yeah, you've lost me there. It is a great night. Yeah, first show. Well, I had a first show, but this is now. When I commit to something, I see it through. So this definitely has to happen every night for a whole year. Ugh. But it's not about me. It's about helping guys out, and I should see it like that. It's helping youngsters. I really want to help people that are just starting out, because I feel that there's so much garbage information out there, and there's no reason to trust what I have to say. But I promise you that if you apply some of the tips and tricks that I give you and help you with, that you will be like that it will work. You know, especially like medical conditions and stuff. I mean, I see so many things on groups, and I get, like, you want to comment, but you go, but there's always somebody with an opinion that's going to beat experience down with their opinion. And that, it's a tough one. So I want this, if somebody has an issue or, something's wrong with it, and I know Reptile News, I'll spread, I know there's a lot of people that like the page because they just like to see the stuff that I post there, there's interesting stuff. There's always interesting stuff to learn. And, I like to learn. It's something that I really love to do. So if there's something that I can pass on or something that I can help somebody with, especially there's a lot of things floating around in collections at the moment that, if a veterinarian will tell you one way, but like there are other ways. And I'm not saying that, you have to trust the word of a reptile keeper over, thanks, mate. I really appreciate that. So, but okay, so I don't want to get all emotional here, but thanks a lot for that. Yeah, no, I don't know. I question myself quite often in recent times, but that's not about that. So, well, we'll get back into I'll have to go through all my millions of photos and show people what the setups were like that I used to have, and the way I used to keep the snakes. And my mind's changed a lot about, like keeping snakes just in a plastic tub. To me, I don't keep snakes anymore, but to me these days, like, I really like seeing these naturalistic. And I think that big square behind me, that big box there, I think one of those big Exoterra terrariums would fit in there, and I think I could really make that thing look nice with a naturalistic orchid display, or like an epiphyte display or something like that. So maybe that's something I can put there and move the cameras onto the gimbals and stuff onto the table. So, but I'm hoping I'm hoping to attend some of the expos and do yeah, that's the way to go. Reducing and having nice cages. Yeah. And you see their behaviors change as soon as there's lots of new things to smell and fragrances and things like that, Rob McMillan, there we go. I think that they appreciate it. I think they totally behave differently to what I see. A lot of Tom Crutchfield stuff now is also. I think we've underestimated their abilities to think in the last, since day one, but it was the same problem with everything in the reptile industry. We read books, and the books were written by guys that heard that information from somebody before them, and they heard information from guys before them, and it was just assumed that was the way to do stuff. And I think there's a lot of guys now that, I mean, myself included, I've done a lot of stuff that I've questioned the books, and I've done it my own way. I've fucked up big time. Sorry about that language, but I've stuffed up big time, and learned that but the few times I've gone against what the books have said, and it's turned out that the information was wrong, man. There's we need to as reptile keepers, we need to challenge. And maybe that's because we have a science background as well, but we need to challenge the established rules of what we've been told is the right way to do something. I really think that it's very important. I saw David Evans the other day, and I haven't spoken to David in many years, but I saw him the other day. He's incubating eggs without any medium underneath, snake eggs underneath. There was a whole flurry about 10 years ago with overwater incubation and incubation tubs, the stuff that I brought in, and overwater crystals and stuff. And David's incubating snake eggs over grids with no added moisture. I have to add though that he does live in Queensland, up in I think over just above Brisbane, more north from Brisbane, I think, or more inland. But I think we have to consider that the humidity is higher up there. So if you try that type of stuff in a drier climate, you might run into issues. So like I can see I'm like, wow, okay, cool. You can do that over, it makes sense because I've always seen eggs overinflate when the air is constantly moist, and I am moist, one of those words, moist. But I think that it's worth trying new stuff, I remember the setups back in the 80s and 90s at Transvaal Snakepark with Rod Patterson. They thought well out the box in those days. Yeah, I think we have to question. I mean, this is now turned into a proper conversation here. I think we have to. So I think it's awesome that people, and to be honest though as well, there are proven ways to do things right as well. You can't second guess everything. There are certain things that are universal truths when it comes to reptiles and the way to keep them. But then there's a lot of stuff that's just regurgitated garbage. I see it every day. On these Facebook groups. People that are just regurgitating shit that they were told by somebody. And then you try and help them, and then these same guys go and they fucking beat you down with their bullshit. So the guys the people that I know that knows their stuff about reptiles just don't bother commenting anymore, Yeah, Dave Morgan at the Transvaal Snakepark here was also a bit of a doers. Dave. One of the few guys that never allowed me to go into the background, into the back of the exhibits to have a look around. Yeah, sorry, there's a guy in here, Rob, fellow South African that know the guys that I know from way back in when I was just a kid. And my roots started in I grew up in Johannesburg, and our closest reptile park was at Halfway House Reptile Park, where they bred the Angola. I think Angola pythons. They were one of the first institutions to breed the Angola pythons. And we're just talking about Dave Morgan. Dave Morgan was an ex-curator at. Rob's here. It's all because I'm getting my feed's coming in from all my pages, Colin. So he's something. Let me just see where he's coming in from Facebook. So I don't know where he's commenting. He might just be commenting, but I'll read the comment. So Rob just said. So he's just talking. Rob's just rambling on about about the cage setups and stuff that they had at the old Transvaal Snake Park. But a snake park was a different place. A snake park had to appeal to the people that came to see these animals and had to replicate the environment that they're from. Needless to say, Casey Lasik was the first guy that really had major success with the Angola pythons. And I think he just kept them really basic. Really basic. So, hi Colin, hi Rob. Yeah. So it's a small crowd here. Yeah. Yeah, you can see the comments in the blue. I should actually make that a little bit bigger, but that's a different story. So, my name's in the way there as well. So they pop up. So I'll make that screen a little bit bigger down at the bottom there, so it's a little bit higher up. I like this. I think we can really this can really be a platform to have a good chat. Just around this time of night, sitting around scratching our ass, Well, some of us, not everybody. And I think we try and we need to have one of those conferences again at some stage. A little bit bigger, a little bit higher. Maybe put it up top there, but then you have that all writing over my head. So, okay, I can see. But that's the beauty of social media. Do it from my phones. You can do it from computer, desktop, everywhere. I wish I could do this from my phone, but you never get the same quality from a phone. And I'm just not into bad quality, man. Just can't do it. That's why my mic's so nice. Proximity effect. For those of you who don't know, that sound that you get talking right up the mic. That's why guys do that, because you get that nice bassy tone from your mic. You just need to stop with the heavy breathing. And So, But we'll see tomorrow night. I'll have to if you wanted me to to the guys out there. I mean, this is just the first show. I'm anticipating this to go, exponentially larger. If there's something you want me to cover in on one of the channels, just shoot me a message, and we'll bring out, and I guarantee you we'll talk about it. Unless it's some BS, we'll have to. There's a lot of stuff, but I genuinely, if it's a sincere question and it's something that you don't know how to fix and get right, especially with the youngsters, and with youngsters I mean like guys in their 20s, 20s, even 30s. Yeah, I'm getting old now. And maybe I could drop this thing just a little bit more. Yeah. So. We'll see. I've got a couple of days off work, so hopefully by week 2, I'd have a few more extra bits and pieces on here. And really, I think it's if there can be a few guys on here that I'd love to have. Look, in all honesty, I'd like to have a crew that participate in these live feeds that can actually give it that I know. Well, I'm still a kid in comparison to some of the guys out there. But I'd like to have a few guys, pardon me, a few guys on here that can help people out, and I'll make sure that I put the topics of discussion in the headings of the live feeds before they go live. And I definitely want to go. The beardies. I've been really neglecting that bearded dragon page of mine, and I think, you're still a kid, mate. I'm 10 years up on you. Yeah, but it's the guy. I don't know. And I'm not saying that all the youngsters don't know anything. I'm saying there's a few prospects out there that looks like they holding their ground in the reptile industry, But I'm talking about the people that feel like lost souls in a sea of information that they don't know how to sift through and that they can't figure out what the right steps is. I mean, for instance, I saw a photo on one of the carpet python groups, and somebody had a teeny tiny little albino carpet python in this massive enclosure. And the guy just wanted to know why the snake can't eat, and the answer's simple. When I got my original albino carpet pythons from Simon Stone, and I think it was some of the first ones that left his facility. I did get the first one that left his facility, and then I got 2 more after that. And the 2 that I got after that were the same size as this snake that the guy had in the photo on this group. And this is now, I'm talking 10 years, more than 10 years ago. I think 2006 or something like that. And the answer was so simple. A small snake in a big cage leads to issues, because if he doesn't feel secure, they just stop eating. That's how they deal, and they become defensive because there's nowhere for that animal to hide. So the simple adjustment is to take that snake, and what I did with the albino carpets that I got, stopped eating for 3 months. And Simon was like, "Man, I sent you snakes that ate," and I could see that because they were worth enough to really pay attention to. And I remember taking those baby snakes, having them in a cage, looking at them, messing around with them the whole time, and they just never ate. And I eventually almost caused an incident between them. And then he asked me one day, "What do I keep them in?" I said, "Oh, well, I've got them in a cage." "How big?" I showed him a photo, and he said, "Look, move it into a smaller tub, and just, big, nice, tight hide in there." And, that snake ate the same night after 3 months not eating. So it's as simple as doing that. Sometimes just adjusting the enclosure gets them to eating again. So that was just an example of, my experiences. So I'm not saying change the size of enclosure because I'm just guessing. I've fucked up the same way, and the way I fixed it was by decreasing the size of the cage. It's as simple as that. So, okay, but I'm going to log off so I don't overdo this. But thank you for the guys that watched. Stay tuned. I'll probably be back around the same time tomorrow night, around o'clock. I'm going to try and keep it to around 9 o'clock. And if there's any questions or anything that you need to know, or if you'd like to discuss, you give me a topic and we'll discuss it. And then you know when to come back to discuss that. And I'm going to try and be as helpful as I can within, if I know. But have a good day at work tomorrow while we all stay at home. Stay safe and happy New Year, guys. I hope all the best for everybody. Prosperous New Year. You know, I hope all your dreams come true in 2020. Thank you very much. Good night.